So there are two websites slash apps that I recently got into over the past few months. As a matter of fact, one of them I actually got introduced to along with the rest of my family several years ago. But the other one was in the past year or so, thanks to someone I watch on YouTube. Now, the first one, and you probably see what they are by the title of this video, the first one I want to talk about is Ancestry.com. This website slash app was actually introduced to me and my family, like I said, several years ago, after my grandma Lois's, on my dad's side of the family, after she had passed. And my older sister, I guess, got intrigued to want to know exactly what, our background was, on as far as his side of the family was concerned. And so she started looking into it. She found out all kinds of information. And she even found out that we may have a long distance cousins that we weren't aware about that live right here in California, mostly the southern part of California, as well as other parts of the United States. And, after that, she also decided to look a little bit into my mom's, and she found out more about my mom's family than ever before. And recently, she also, and this is what got me reinvested in it, she had basically uploaded an app, if you will, as well as probably looked up the website, called myheritage.com. And obviously it's very similar, if not connected. And one of the, I guess you could say more, what's the word I'm looking for? Popular features, and sometimes the most surreal features that they have is the ability to allow you to take an old photograph and basically bring it to life. And what I mean by that is you can animate it. No, not you necessarily, but the people in charge of the app and the service basically incorporated a feature in it that allows you to basically have an old photo, like I said, be brought to life by very good, if not surprising technology, because she did this with a photo of my grandmother who passed away about 2 years ago. And basically it's a younger picture of her. And when, she did this, it was like the moment I saw it, the moment my aunt saw it, the moment my mom saw it, and I think the moment anybody in our family saw it, it was like, whoa, this is surreal. Like, it's emotional to see it come to life, but it was just so surreal to see the eyes and the lips kind of moving a little. Well, not the lips, but the mouth kind of moving a little bit. Because she was sitting down for a pose that she did back when she was in her 20s in the 1940s. So it's like, whoa, this is just so surreal, if not emotional, to see that brought to life. And like I said, this got me reinvested, I should say, into looking into it, or into stuff like that. So I also decided to, download the app, if you will, myheritage.com, as well as, like I said, it got me reinvested to look into Ancestry.com. Now, the reason I say reinvested, because as I mentioned several years ago, my sister basically introduced me and my family to Ancestry.com and what it was capable of. And back then, I kind of gave it a test run, but then when I saw that it was a monthly fee, I decided not to do it. Even though I was working at Walmart at the time and capable of potentially, handling that monthly charge, I didn't want to deal with it because, I had other things to take care of. Well, now that I'm out of a job and essentially in a situation like a lot of us are, where we're getting unemployment, as well as we're now getting an additional $300 to that, and the stimulus for a majority of us coming our way, I pretty much have decided that for the time being, I might just, roll with it and see what happens. Because the one thing that I've noticed about Ancestry.com, and my older sister, I believe, has already noticed about this over the past several years, and I'm sure a lot of you that utilize this site and app as well have noticed, is that over time, they will actually start locating possible ancestors, if you will, that were alive like generations, centuries ago. I mean, for example, as I mentioned before, my sister wanted to see about my dad's side of the family, and since I got reinvested, I wanted to do the same thing. And basically, what Ancestry.com is, as far as like his grandmother, my great grandmother, on his side goes, her family goes all the way back into the 1700s, along with my great grandfather on my dad's side. You know, his grandfather, my great grandfather, on his side goes all the way back to the 1700s. I mean, I found out that on my dad's grandfather's side, my great grandfather, they didn't migrate to the United States until about the 1800s. They were part of that. They were part of the migration of the 1800s from overseas here to the States, which was pretty damn cool. You know, to find out, that is pretty damn cool to find out. Surprising, but cool. And I think the same with my great grandmother's family on my dad's side. They migrated too around the same time. And then if that's not enough, I also looked into my mom's side of the family and found out that my great grandfather, her grandfather, didn't migrate to the U.S. from Mexico until about, I'd say he was around less than a year. His family, my great grandfather, that is, when he was less than a year, they didn't migrate over to the U.S. until about till the early 1900s. I'd say 1904, 1903. And again, that's surprising to find out, because this is what Ancestry.com does. It allows you to discover things you didn't even know, was part of your family's history. And it's all based off public records that they're able to obtain. And it's not just, public records and all that, but it's also photos. Photos from centuries ago, like on my dad's side, there's photos of our family from my great grandmother's side, of my dad's family. There's photos from the 1800s of them. There's, on my mom, as well as far as my dad and my mom go separately, both have the high school pictures in there. It's like, it's just so surreal when you notice that all this is part of it. This is all part of basically helping you trace your family's history. Now, there is one thing that I'm sure a lot of people would agree that Ancestry.com does have that, doesn't really make a site like it or a service like it look good in the eyes of many people. And that's controversy. Now, it's not a big time controversy or anything, but it's the kind of controversy that if you're someone in your family that has an Ancestry.com account and you basically utilize it to find more about your heritage, your family history, and all that, there is going to be some family members that will not be thrilled with it. They will not be. They will not be thrilled with it whatsoever, because of the fact that they don't like the idea that a service and a site like Ancestry.com is able to gain access to all this public recording of your family's history or even their history. And they'd rather keep it private. And this is obviously something that not just I kind of temporarily dealt with for a bit before it's like, it was over. Basically, it was forgotten about, if you will, because I think my sister was getting a little buzzed. She was, drinking a little bit because she worked that day with her husband washing cars. They have a pressure washing business. So she was just drinking a little bit to kind of relax herself. And, basically there was kind of like a brief period where it's like, hey, maybe you should not do this, you should not do that. And that kind of gave me the idea that even though this site has a lot of good and positiveness going for it, it will have some negative, and mostly that negative will lead into the controversy that I'm talking about. And the negative, I'll put it this way, the negative does not outweigh the positive. The positive actually outweighs the negative. But the controversy that comes from that negative is the kind of controversy that, like I said, basically, has people be upset at the fact that, a site like Ancestry.com is capable of doing this. and they'd rather they'd rather not have it be that way. But here's the thing. The only way they can prevent this from happening, is one, they ask you, the user, to take off, their name or a family member's name they don't want on there, which you are capable of doing. You can do that. Or what they have to do is go to the local or state governments, the people in charge of public records, and say, hey, this Ancestry.com, is allowing people, basically has access to all these public historical records of our family, and even us. We don't want that out there. Can you please do something about it? That's the only other way. Besides asking the user to take the name of the person off or their name off, so they're not part of it. The only other major way that they could, get Ancestry.com to kind of tone it down and be like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, is to go to the state or local governments, the people, and talk to the people in charge of public records for their family, historical records, and say, hey, can you talk to the people in charge at Ancestry.com and get them to stop? So that's the only other way. That's the only other way they could probably try to put an end to this controversy that, doesn't totally surround it, but does get associated at times with a website and service like Ancestry.com. But here's the thing. Let me tell you this right now. It's not a big controversy. It's not a big, oh my gosh, it's going to make headline news all over the world kind of like controversy. No. It's just it's just basically a very minimal, if not tiny bit of controversy that is, looked at from the perspective of those that don't like the idea that, a site and service like Ancestry.com is capable of doing this kind of stuff. Now, it's not just, here's the thing. Everybody wants to know, who funded or who founded this site and this service. Now, I say this with no disrespect, but the people that were behind it, from what I understand, are Mormons. Now, again, I say that with no disrespect, no offense, but yeah, they're the ones basically behind it. And, there's always going to be that difference from a religious perspective, how things are viewed or how things are worded. And you kind of notice that here with Ancestry.com when they talk about, like let's say your potential descendants, or not descendants, but your potential ancestors and what they are to you. Like, instead of saying, great uncle or great uncle, they say third or fourth great uncle or fifth or sixth great uncle or something like that. So you can kind of tell that the wording is, in that category. Again, I say this with no offense. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, there is more positives that outweigh the negatives. One of the positives and the more intriguing parts of it, believe it or not, as I get myself some coffee here, one of the more intriguing elements about it is the fact that when you list off certain ancestors or relatives, either those that are passed on or might still be alive in some capacity, Ancestry.com will constantly be working on a daily, weekly, hourly basis to try to see if there's any other potential family members, past or present, mostly past, that were alive back in the day. And the way they do this is after you name someone, they will actually, once they find possibly some kind of information connected to your family's history, they will put up a little green leaf and it will say potential father or potential mother or potential relative or whatever the case may be. And then, you click on that and they will show you possibly a picture, if not a name, of the person that's potentially in your family from the past, which is really cool. Because then it allows you to trace back all the way, maybe hundreds, 200s of years, to when your family originally started or originated from, like, country-wise or state-wise or whatever. Like I said with my dad, his family, like his grandfather and even his grandmother, my great grandfather and grandmother, their family originated, both of them in a sense originated from Germany. Well, his great grandfathers did, and they didn't migrate over, like I said, until the 1800s. So it was like, well, the 1880s, I should say, the 1880s, not just the 1800s, but the 1880s. So it's stuff like that. And the more I looked into it, the more information it gave me on my great grandmother's side, on his side, it goes all the way back to the 1700s, if you will, like 1717, if you will. And they even sometimes for pictures, they'll show, like I mentioned earlier, pictures that were taken back in that time period, or even just gravestones. And sometimes those gravestones could be in the country of our family's origin. So it's like, it just blows your mind. You know what I'm saying? It just blows your mind when you see that kind of stuff. It really does. But overall, like I said, the positives when it comes to Ancestry.com do outweigh the negatives. The only thing that holds people back from fully embracing Ancestry.com, as I mentioned, is the price. You see, what they do is they start you out with a 2-week trial. And if you decide, you like the service, just like with any service, then they will charge you afterwards. And the only thing about Ancestry.com is their monthly charges, depending on what plan you go with. It's not bad, but still it's like, they could probably tone it down. I mean, for example, the monthly fee for this, or the monthly fee that I've chosen and might go with is $25, $24.99. And then there's another one that adds the DNA portion of it, and that's for like $10 more or something like that. So it's not cheap, but it is affordable. It is affordable to at least look into for a while. And my mom actually, when I told her about this, she was like, you know what, that's a good idea to probably utilize, for the future generations. Like, I got a great niece. What if my great niece gets older and wants to know more about her family's history, about her family's past? There you go. She'll have instant access to see how far it goes back. I mean, it's really amazing. Really amazing. But overall, like I said, the positives with Ancestry.com definitely outweigh the negatives. The only thing that holds it back is its monthly fees, which I think they can tone down, and they should, in my opinion, to make it just a little bit more accessible. I mean, I think that's the one thing that's holding people away from really embracing and trying out Ancestry.com, and that's the fact that it's that monthly fee that gets charged. But yeah, I would recommend Ancestry.com anytime, and even try out the MyHeritage.com, because I think it is kind of connected or something like that. So I would definitely check out both, if you will. Now, with that said, let's get on to the second app and website service that I got into recently. And like I said, the title pretty much tells you what it is, and that is Honey. Honey is a website and a service whose main objective is to save you money. Now, they do have two ways of doing this. They have a reward system to where even if the online checkout for the site or the online store site you use doesn't discount you or doesn't take off like a certain amount of money off your total, it will reward you. It'll give you some rewards that I guess you could utilize later on. But like I said, its other main, if not popular feature, is discounting your total that you have. For example, one of the sites that Joe Vargas, aka Angry Joe, the Angry Joe Show, uses or shows when he talks about Honey, mostly as a sponsor of his channel, one of his sponsors, is he goes to the G Tracing website and he shows exactly what it's capable of doing, what the Honey app and service is capable of doing. And you're able to get something like, let's say my chair there, for a lot cheaper than what it's being sold for retail wise, and what it would be without the honey discount total wise. So what I mean by that is this: the chair that I got is currently on sale. That's how I got it. It's for $149.95, and the purchase total without the honey discount service is about $160. But when you apply the honey discount service, it takes off a significant amount. In other words, to make a long story short and not make it sound too confusing, sorry about that, to make it not sound too confusing, without the honey app, this would have cost me about $160. But with the honey app, I spent about $4 to $5 less than what it was being sold for. Yeah. Like I said, the Red Flash sale had it for $149.95, $149.95. And the total, without the honey discount service, would be around $160, even, if you will. $160. But with the app, I got it for in total, for the total charge, I got it for less than $15.50, about around $16. Less than $16 was basically $16 was taken off. So I got it for around $144 something. Well, let's just say around $145. Basically about $4 cheaper than what it was being sold. So yeah, again, not to make it sound confusing, but without the honey app, this $149.95 chair that I got in total would have cost me about $160. With the app, it took off about $16, and I got it for $144, almost around $145. Basically $4 less, if you will, than what it was being advertised for, sale-wise. So yeah, what it was being advertised for sale-wise, which was $149.95, $149.95, I got it for about $4 less than that. Yeah, $4 less than what, Game Tracer was advertising its sale price for. $16 off the total, and essentially $5 less than what they were selling it for. And that's amazing. Now, it wasn't just game tracing either that I utilized the Honey app on. I also used it to get these. These are my TeePublic t-shirts, my TeePublic MLP t-shirts that I got of Spike and Rarity, if you will. And then one of Spike and Rarity is Jasmine and Aladdin. And hold on for a sec. And basically the total basically was something around, I'm assuming $40. I would say, I don't know, was it about $40, something like that? I gotta look again. But basically I was able to save about $12 to $14 with Honey off TeePublic to get those t-shirts. That's the truth. The Honey service allowed me to do that, because without that service, that I would have had to spend $12 to $14 more in total to get the t-shirts, which I still would have done, but with it I saved around $12 to $14. So in total, between both purchases individually combined, I ended up saving around $30, which I utilized elsewhere, like for food, bills, stuff like that. Now, here's the thing though. Honey doesn't work for everybody. Like I said, if you go to some sites, like let's say Walmart's online site, the online store for Walmart, or Target, or even Kohl's for the matter of fact, I'm not sure about that just yet, but I'm pretty sure it's the same, it will not work. Walmart, the only thing about it that will work is the rewards part. You'll get some rewards with that, but overall it won't work. It won't work any more or than that with Walmart, what I'm trying to say. And with with Target, it won't work at all. It won't work with Target. It won't work with Amazon, as far as I know. And I definitely am sure it won't work with Kohl's. So basically, it's not going to work with everybody. There are potential options. There are other potential places it could work. One, it could work with Hot Topic. Secondly, it could work, I should say, with sites like Hasbro Pulse. Third, it could potentially work with places like eBay. But, like I said, places like Walmart, Target, Kohl's, potentially, it will not work. It will not discount, your total price. It will give you possibly rewards, but it won't give you anything else. But sites like Game Tracing and TeePublic and maybe even Teespring and Pro Wrestling Tees, I guarantee it'll probably work. But other ones like Hasbro Pulse, Hot Topic, and potentially eBay, I should say, are potentially some that would work with it. Not saying they would, but they could. But, and then again, like I said, sites like Walmart, Target, and potentially Kohl's will not. The only advantage you'll get with it is rewards, and that's it. But yeah, overall, Honey is a really good app. It's really good. I'm totally going to be using it a lot more, especially for anything else I might need on sites that it will be accepted on. I will do that. Now, as I mentioned with Ancestry.com, and how it's got a bit of controversy surrounding it, especially from those that don't like the idea that a site and service like that is capable of doing what it's doing. There's no doubt, and I don't even have to look it up, that Honey itself is mired in controversy. But it's not just controversy with the consumer, no, it's controversy with the retailers. Because you can't tell me that there are some retailers out there that appreciate the fact that a site like honey.com is allowing people to basically save money off the original total price. You can't tell me that when people go to something like gametracing.com, you can't tell me that the people behind there are like, seriously? That should have cost that guy $160. We should be seeing $160 in the bank or in our bank, and yet we're only seeing $145? Darn that Honey, or damn that Honey service. That's costing us. So again, you can't, and that's just an example of what I believe, in my opinion, a lot of these sites like Game Tracing, TeePublic, Teespring, basically the sites where Honey does work a majority of the time, the business people behind it, the suits, if you will, they're not thrilled. They're not thrilled, but there's nothing they can do. There's nothing really they can do for the moment unless they realize, hey, or unless they go talk around or, meet up with people like, let's say, those working at Walmart and Target and all that, and ask them, hey, how are you preventing Honey from giving people discounts? How are you doing that? And they'll probably say, well, this is how we're doing it. And maybe they tell them the secret. Maybe they say, hey, we got this lockout service that makes sure this doesn't happen, and, we go from there. So, there's no doubt that there's a lot of the suits behind these services, these businesses like Game Tracing and, what did I just say? TeePublic, Teespring, and all them, they're not thrilled with this. But again, there's nothing they can really do unless they come up with a solution and ask around and possibly work out something to where they can prevent it. And you know what? I hate to say this, but I think they'll find a way to do that. I'm not sure when and where they're going to do it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. Because here's the thing. If a big box store like Target and a big box store like Walmart is capable, and even Amazon, if you will, the most popular online store of all in the world, period, even over Walmart and Target and all that, in their online stores, if Amazon can prevent it from happening, then there's no doubt places like GameTracing.com and TeePublic and all them could find a way to do it too. But here's where I think, even though they're not, but here's the thing. Here's where the controversy, kind of ends, if you will. Here's where the controversy kind of skids itself, if you will. You know, and that is the fact, and that is this fact, that even though those businesses are not thrilled, they're not thrilled whatsoever that a site and service like Honey is allowing people to save money, you know, off their total purchase price. They know that if they want to keep that consumer coming back, they have no choice but to allow it. Yes, eventually, there's no doubt, and I don't think anybody will deny it, they're going to potentially find a way to lock out the Honey service and make sure this doesn't happen and you have to pay full price. There is no doubt. But for right now, to make sure they don't lose any potentially new customers or experienced customers that love the service and love the products, they're going to leave it as is. They're going to leave it as is. And I think what they're going to probably do in the long run is when it comes to certain products, they're just going to be like, you know what? We don't mind if that has to be, if Honey discounts that. We don't mind if Honey discounts this. But these other ones, yeah, we got to put a lock on those and make sure it doesn't happen. So, you know, so basically that's what I see happening. I see some kind of like compromise happening down the line. A unique one to where Honey will still be utilized for certain objects or certain products and all that. But other products it won't be. So I definitely, but in the end, guys, I definitely recommend Honey. It's a great app. It's a great, you know, site that will allow you to, and service that will allow you to save money and get some rewards in the long run. So I definitely recommend it. But really, guys, that's all I really want to say, though, on both Ancestry.com and Honey.com. Both basically are both basically have positives that outweigh the negatives. Both do have a bit of controversy that they're mired in, not much. It's like a little bit, but not much. You know, depending, you know, on how you know how you look at the controversy that they're in. But overall, I do recommend both sites, and I think you guys will enjoy them once you try them out in the long run, if you haven't already. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. Let me know in the live chat if you guys have utilized Ancestry.com and Honey, and what were your thoughts on utilizing them? How do you feel about them? And that's all I want to say, guys. So till next time, God bless. Take care. I am out. Get vaccinated when you can. And that's it. Take care. Peace.